Hello, Bashar.
And you good day.
When you make agreements with other civilizations in the Alliance to perform services for each other,
Yes.
what are some of the most unique services that you've had to perform for each other?
One of the most unique services that we have performed for other civilizations is creating an energy field in our civilization that allows them to create a temporary body in our civilization to experience our civilization temporarily. Thus, then, when they are done with that experience, they simply pop out, retract their consciousness, and the body dissipates back into energy. Thus, then, they do not have to have what you call a full incarnation. They can have a true physical, temporary, surrogate experience in one of our forms to experience the sensations of our reality without that full incarnational cycle.
And what do they do for you?
They allow us to perceive emanations that come from their combining of energies that would be akin to what you would call energy music, but it is in that sense silent. But the emanations have color, have frequencies, have patterns that are extremely unique in all the civilizations that we have found, and that we find that these patterns are revealing to us of different aspects of our connection to creation. So it is like they have created a consciousness mirror that when you look into it reveals aspects of yourself you may have otherwise been unaware of.
Oh, that's deep. Also, when you help bring other civilizations into the Alliance besides us, what are some of the contact methods that you use with them? Because I imagine that their situation is probably very different than ours.
Oh, yes, of course. There are many different contact methods per se. One had to do with the idea of allowing them to appreciate that we understood their musical language. And in that sense, by replicating their musical language, they were willing to communicate. Do you understand?
Yes.
That was their sole criteria for allowing connection to other civilizations. That you had to comprehend and, in a sense, repeat back or reflect back very specific tonalities in their musical language for them to understand that a true connection existed. Without that tonal reflection, they have a belief system that says that connection is not appropriate at that timing.
Kind of like with us, we have to see you first before we believe that you're there.
Well, not exactly in that expression. More the idea that we have to understand and experience that there is a piece of us in you before we will know that you know we are all connected. So if you are operating on that level, you will be able to show us that you're operating on that level by reflecting back to us the piece of us that exists within you. And when we see that reflection, we will know that you know we are all connected, and we will feel, in a sense, appropriate in strengthening the connection from that point forward. But without that reflection, they do not allow themselves to form a solid connection to that civilization.
Okay, and for those civilizations that you've already brought over,
yes.
what was their initial reaction to the first physical contact with you?
Well, certainly they don't have all the same reaction. You understand?
Right.
It depends not only on a civilization by civilization basis, it often sometimes depends on the individuals that are first contacted and how they relate to their civilization. But generally speaking, open contact does not really occur until there is at least some measure of coherency and cohesiveness in that civilization. Thus then, even though there are a variety of ways that individual civilizations may respond to first contact, we only make that contact when we now know that the response will generally be positive and beneficial for the entire civilization. Nevertheless, one example of open contact was all individuals in that civilization all at once lying down on the ground facing skyward. This was their way of acting as intermediaries between their planet and the sky. It was their symbol for connecting what you would call heaven and earth. So when we appeared and they recognized that the timing had come for them to connect to beings from the stars, they all lay down on their backs and looked up at the sky as an expression of gratitude and thanks and readiness for acting as intermediaries between their world and the stars.
Nice. Okay. One more thing.
Yes, sir.
You said that you learned from the Thuk how to make people forget that they met you.
Yes.
How were you able to figure out that they had this ability if you can't remember having interacted with them?
As we explored our own consciousness and elevated our own frequency, knowing that something had happened even though we could not remember what it was our experience of what we call the watermelon seed effect. We knew something had happened, but our consciousness was prevented from knowing what had happened, and so we examined our consciousness until such time as we found a third direction to pitch our consciousness into that allowed us to awaken to the memory of those experiences. So they gave us the opportunity to look in a new direction we had never looked at before within our own consciousness.
Was it with their permission?
Of course.
Oh. And what kinds of applications have the Thuk found for their ability?
We are not allowed to share that information. And a you good day.
I have been frustrated for a number of years by the tremendous gaps and blanks in the history that we have access to
Yes.
in the public sense.
Yes.
If you really get into it, the more you get into it, the more you realize so much of it makes absolutely no sense at all.
Yes, well, there are many, many, many things that have happened on your world that most of you are completely unaware of, historically speaking.
Well, my first question is, and forgive me, I know you've been doing these transmissions for such a long time, and you've probably answered this question in some way before. But okay, I'm not familiar. So
that is all right.
Do you know of any reliable account that's accessible that explains what happened since the development of the first hominid on the planet? I mean, what were the first? Can you talk a little bit about the first waves of migration or invasion of this planet, and of those civilizations that came? I suppose, I imagine there were several.
Many millions of your years ago.
And
there were what have been loosely referred to in one of your ancient languages, Sumerian, a civilization known as the Anunnaki. They came, their precursors came, many millions of your years ago, when there was upon your planet the species that you understand now as reptilian or dinosaur. You understand?
Yes.
They took some of the genetic material of those beings and blended it with their own to create a kind of bipedal hominid appearing type of being that many of you now recognize as reptilian extraterrestrials. But they do not interact with you in the way many of you have been taught to believe that they do. They were the first species transformed upon your planet long before what you call your own hominid species developed. This was what you call many millions of your years ago, approximately 72 million of your years ago. That is the first that we record of such incidents on your world.
So, in other words, what you're saying is that there was no... I mean, the American Indians have a belief that the first, in a sense, the first presence on this planet was human, but not...
That was the first presence within a particular age or era on your planet, not the first of all times.
Well, what I was about to say is the first presence in the ethereal sense, in the cosmic sense, that
yes.
the spirit, the man-woman principle,
yes.
rather oversaw the formation of the planet so that it would be a home that would be suitable to the evolution of our species and so many others that have been able to adapt to it.
But that happens within timelessness. You are asking us about an actual historical timeline.
So in other words,
your spirit is timeless. It exists eternally, always has, always will. There is no timeline to that. And so your spirit in that sense, your consciousness in that sense, what you wish to call your soul, witnesses the creation of everything. And the understanding of how its connection to everything will eventually play out in some form of space-time historical linear fashion.
Okay, so following this along, in other words, there was no creature that evolved eventually into hominid.
Not on its own.
On its own before these other the Anunnaki arrived. Is that right?
Correct.
Well, why is it then that there are footprints, there are petrified, preserved footprints in existence where a human footprint coexists in the same space, obviously made at the same time as the dinosaur footprint that is surrounding it, that they must have been made at the same time? How did that happen?
Visitors. Transcending different dimensions of reality. What you would euphemistically call time travel. Parallel reality shifting. Visitors.
Oh, okay. That's amazing.
Even some of you, from your own future, visiting a parallel reality past that happens to be yours. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
There you go.
Mind-blowing, but yes.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
It is all right to have your mind blown now and then. In fact, it might be a good thing.
Another thing, too, that just is so irritating to me is that there has been no good explanation so far as to what the USOs are, the submersible, unidentified objects that are seen regularly coming in and out of the ocean.
Yes.
What are they?
There are temporary bases under some of your oceans, and what you typically call UFOs often have the capability of simply going from air underwater and so become USOs. That's all.
But what are these bases? Are they actually in underneath the ocean floor, or are they bases that exist in the water? Where do they go?
Some of them, in that sense, will go into tunnels that are representative of actual physical temporary bases in the crust of your planet. Others, in a sense, will actually simply phase shift themselves and simply go through your planet. They just simply don't need to get out of the way. They don't need to go around your world. On their trajectory, they can simply go through your world. You understand?
Yes, sort of. Okay. And I guess the other question I had was in the last few years, I've gone to a few outdoor concerts at the Greek Theater, the Hollywood Bowl, and I believe that I have been aware of the presence of, and this is pretty much the only time I've felt this, but I think I've been aware of the presence of ships in another dimension above the amphitheaters.
Sometimes that is the case. As we said, there are observations being made, and there are, in that sense, observations being allowed from time to time to test the observation capabilities of your people.
Is this typically felt, what I've experienced is sort of like the tipped me off just to kind of tune in was like an odd pressure on the top of my head, which is, again, the only time I've ever experienced this.
Different people will experience it in different ways. That happens to be what works for you.
And so the inhabitants of these ships, where are they from, by the way? Are they
different places?
Okay. And are they then, they're testing to see if we pick up on their being there too? Oh, okay.
To gauge whether you are ready for contact. To stretch your senses. To expand your idea that you exist and can perceive in more than one dimension. Thus then allowing you to elevate your frequency, and in elevating your frequency, giving all of us the signal that you're willing to meet us halfway. Create a third reality in which we can both interact. All right?
Yeah,
At this timing, we will now extend to each and every one of you our deepest appreciation for allowing for the co-creation this day of your time of this transmission, and the sharing with you of the crystallization of the structure of beliefs within your consciousness. The tool is yours to use as you will. Use it well. Our unconditional love to you all, and a fond, exciting, creative, and joyful bless you. Good day.
Good.
And to you, good day.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day again.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Well, okay, my question is about the movie, or I might
What
say,
movie?
Or just generally.
Movies in general.
Yeah, movies or storytelling.
Or what?
Storytelling
Storytelling, yes.
in your world or in your near future.
As we have said, the idea of story structure is of paramount importance and exists in a variety of cultures in a variety of ways that are relevant for the consciousness of those cultures. But the idea is that story structure is an archetypal structure in your consciousness. That's why telling information in the form of a story will stick longer in your memory, because it is hitting all the right chords of the archetypal story structure in your consciousness. If it doesn't hit all those chords, you feel that the story was not well told and you don't really remember all the things in it. But when it hits all the right chords of the archetypal story structure in your consciousness, you tell those stories over and over and over and over and over and over again, and they never get old. It's a part of your makeup. It's a part of the crystallization of your personality structure. Story structure is built in as the most efficient way to communicate and retain information in your reality.
So, and then actually the reason I gave you this is that I'm kind of tired of watching the story or drama in, say, dualism or, like in 3D. Or
Then tell your own stories.
then that's why I'm asking, what is that in your world, or I don't know, maybe near future?
We understand the idea of duality, but we do not experience the negative side. But we understand that in your reality, there is this concept of the challenge presented that needs to be overcome. Here's the idea, though. You don't have to look at this in a negative way. There is a story that exists in your culture called the story of the premature butterfly. Do you know this?
I'm not sure.
All right, well, I will tell it to you briefly. The idea is that you know that caterpillars form cocoons and turn into butterflies, yes?
Yes.
And that there is a timing to this. One day, one of your people was strolling along and saw that there was a butterfly, as you say, struggling to get out of its cocoon. Mm-hmm. This person said, well, I will help you so you don't have to struggle, so you don't have to be so challenged by this. And the person opened the cocoon and let the butterfly out. Well, the butterfly just sat there, didn't fly. Its wings were atrophied. They were not well formed. Because you see, what the person didn't realize is that if the butterfly does not struggle against the cocoon, the pressure of the cocoon does not push fluid into the wings and cause them to mature. So even though you may think you're helping sometimes by removing the idea of that struggle, you're actually causing more struggle and more damage. So be aware that there is a positive way to understand what you may call the polarity, and learn how to use it in a balanced way and learn what it is for, so that you can have the idea of a positive outcome even when you are incorporating the idea of the negative polarity into the story.
And to you, good day.
And to you, good day. I think there is an echo in here, and it must in that sense be a time-traveling echo, since it happened before I said anything.
Nah, Bashar, I just watched a lot of YouTube videos of you.
Oh, all right.
My first question is, have I been visited by our idea of aliens?
Yes. Many, many, many of you have actually already had contact, but you don't remember it. There's a reason for this. The rate at which, in your own way, by whatever method, you remember that you've already had contact is a barometer for us to know when you are ready for more contact. So you forget on purpose, or are made to forget on purpose, so that we will see how you remember and when you remember that contact for many of you has already occurred, and thus that tells us when you're ready for more.
Okay, now my second question is, can you please tell us about the effects of pure white monatomic gold on our brains?
It depends upon the individual, because as we have said, everything is a permission slip. There will be those who are aligned with this as an accelerator, as an ascension vibration. There will be those on which it will have almost no effect whatsoever. In general, the idea of the particular element you call gold is representative of eternity, longevity, as you understand it, because it is unchanging in that way, untarnishing in that way. It never alters. The gold that you have now is the gold that has existed on your planet since it was formed on your planet. Thus, then it never breaks down into anything else. So the symbol is the idea of the now moment, eternity, infinity in the now moment. So people who can align with that idea can use gold or monatomic gold in that way to accelerate their vibration, to align with it. But again, it's just a permission slip like any other permission slip. It will work and align for some people. For others, it will simply have no effect because that is not relevant to what they are exploring.
All right, now my other question
Yeah.
is, how can we prepare for contact?
I just told you, but I'll tell you again.
Thank you.
Be yourself in the here and now as best as you possibly can by acting on your highest excitement every moment that you can, aligning with your true vibration every moment that you can, taking it as far as you can till you can take it no further, and then continuing to act on the next most exciting thing with absolutely zero expectation as to where it's supposed to lead. If you just keep doing that, and you will be yourself as fully as you can, you will automatically accelerate to the level that will allow you to meet us halfway, which is the point.
Now
Yes?
Now my last question is, does my future self have a message for me?
Which future self?
The one that you read my energy to be the most likely
Yes,
one.
I know. I'm just, as you say, messing with you.
Thank you.
Yes, the message is, be the future self, and you will have the life